So we're learning Tanya. We're on page, actually, Mem. We're at the third or fourth line, but let me recap briefly. In this Pedic, the Alter Rebbe asks a question on himself. He had said in chapter 29 and 30 that the way to crush the Sitra Achra, the negative force and energy that blocks a person from from having feelings for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which ultimately you need to have when you pray and when you daven and when you do other mitzvahs, is using the advice of the Zohar HaKodesh, which says a piece of wood that doesn't want to catch on fire, you break it into small splinters and then it's easier to catch on fire. So too the body of a person who doesn't catch on fire to the fire of the soul of the person's neshama should break his body into pieces, which is a very humbling experience and a very, in a way, humiliating experience. So the Alter Rebbe says, if that's the case, you'll walk away depressed, you'll sad. So that's what he tackles in chapter 29, in chapter 31. Also, the advice that he gave in chapter 30, which is based on the Pirkei Avos, V'havei shval ruach b'fnei kol ha'adam, one should be humble before everyone, including before the most lenient person, the Kal Shabakalim, also involves meditation and thoughts that are sad, that result in a sadness, and like, okay, I'm a goofball, everyone's better than me. So the question is, how if you have to ultimately serve Hashem with simcha, walking around with these thoughts and these meditations and reflections don't seem to be good. So the Alter Rebbe answers the question in chapter 31 in two ways. One, he says, yes, you need a moment of contriteness, of sadness, to rebound back to a higher form of positive energy in the sense of being frustrated with your situation. So he acknowledges that there is that aspect. Yeah, you're going to be sad for a few minutes. That's right. But it's okay. Because if you're not sad for a few minutes, you won't be able to rebound back in the positive. Number two, he says, Uve'emes, truthfully speaking, the second method, which he suggested yesterday on page 78, was that we're not talking really about sadness. We're talking about something else. We're talking about merirus. Literally, merirus from the word mara, or bitter, frustration. And the Alter Rebbe says this is a positive orientation. The same, he's very quick to say it's not yet simcha, but it's what we call gvuras de kedusha, and why it's holy discipline, it's holy gvura. And why is that necessary? Because ein adina nimtok is ela b'sharshan. If you seek to sweeten judgment and harshness, you need to get to its source. And in its source, we understand why God makes it this way, for our betterment, to challenge us, to make us better. There's reasons why a father puts kind of traps and employs to his son, to his children, and at some point so that they become a real mensch, a real powerhouse. If they're always, oh, you're a nice little sweet little boy, you're my best and all that, well, let's put it in modern terms today. Sometimes you got to send a kid into the army. You got to send them out to boot camp. A good kick in the pants over there wakes them up and they become a mensch. Right? It's the same idea. Same idea. It's not rosy. When you got to get up early morning and march for miles and et cetera, et cetera. But that's the sort. You're going to the source of being strict and mean. Why are you so mean? Right? That type of. Why are you so strict? So if you get to the source of that strictness and meanness and toughness, you understand, Avram. This is the way to sweeten it. Sweeten it in the sense to realize that this strictness is all about goodness. It's the only way you're going to grow and grow at best. That's what we learned yesterday. One last point Al Rebbe made yesterday towards the end of the shiur was that when is the time, and he says the word shas hakosher, when is the right time to transform sadness to positivity? That is when you're sad anyway. When a person is down, for whatever reason, they get up in a lousy mood, they're down. At that time, grab that time that you feel this, you feel down, and use it for changing your issues, whether you're down because of worldly matter or just you're down, just, he says, below shum siba, azai, look at top, page mem, azai hi shasa kosher, then is the right time, lahafoch ha'etzef, to transform the sadness, that's when you should make an account. What did I do? Where am I? Why am I wasting my life? A person should always anger, should enrage his Yetzer Tov over his Yetzer Hara canal, as we learned earlier in chapter 29. And when you do that, at the time that you're down anyway, feeling down anyway, you alma. Then you will rid yourself from sadness coming from worldly matters that disturb you, that are not good in your life. Okay, but this is all just a stepping stone to get to the ultimate. The ultimate is simcha. The ultimate is not gvura shebekedushas. The meriro stages, or the frustrating stage, is a very, very good stepping stone. But the ultimate is to be in a state of simcha. Let's look at what the Alter Rebbe says now, page mem, end of third line. And following the meriros, the kedusha, the frustration, a person will come to true simcha, the hainu, shezois yoshev eliboy. This is the thought that you should think about, that you should make your heart be attentive to. This will console you twice as much. After everything's said and done, as we said earlier, to say to your own heart, Emes who came, beli sufik. It is true, without a doubt. Shani rachaik miHashem betachlis. I am very far and very distant from Hashem, from God. Umeshuketz mesuav. And I am disgusting. This is what we learned in chapter 29. When I look at myself and I realize my nefesh abamis dominates my heart and my body, and my being, and my consciousness, and I'm walking around with a disgusting behavior coming of the nefesh abamis. Nevertheless, kol zehu, all this is ani levadi, I myself, i.e., hu haguf im nefesh abamis. It's the guf and the nefesh abamis, right? In nefesh achiyunis. The nefesh achiyunis means the vivifying soul, which is the nefesh abamis, sheboy, that I have. Avol mikol mokoi, but nevertheless, yesh b'ki b'chelik Hashem mamish. I also have an actual part of Hashem, which is the nefesh elokis. Sheyeshna afilu b'kal shebekalim, that exists even in the most lenient and of all lenient, the most light-headed Jew. Shehi, which this refers to nefesh elokis, im nitzutz elikus mamish, which has an actual spark of godliness in a tangible way, hamelubish bo, that's invested in it. There's a spark of God, a nitzutz eloki, which is invested in the nefesh elokis, lahachiyosei, to enliven it, and I have that within me. She b'pchinas golus. It's captured. We all have this nefesh elokis that's a spark, that has a spark of Hashem in it, and I have it in me. The only thing is that in me, this nefesh elokis is an exile. It's a slave. Imke, if so. Adarab, on the contrary. These are very important words, this word here. Adarab, on the contrary. Kol ma shani betachlis arichuk ma'ashem v'hatiu v'shikutz. As long as I am distant, while I am distant and disgusting in the eyes of God because of my issues, hari nefesh elikish be begolus godl yoser. So the nefesh elikis that I have, it's not that you don't have it, we all have it. At the time when we're acting disgusting and all that, that means my nefesh elikis is in greater garbage. Therefore, the mercy that there is on the nefesh elikis in that situation is very great, and therefore, awesome kol amagmosi v'chefzi. I will make my entire wish and will lahitzia to schlep it out. To schlep it out, ulalesan, to elevate it, mikolazeh, from this exile, lohishiva el beis aviu kinureha, to bring it back to its father's home as it was in its youth, kaidim shenislapsha begufi, before it invested itself in my guf, shahisa nichlalas b'ydi yizbarach, which at that time the nefesh elikis was incorporated in God's light, and united with Him completely. So the gamata, so now too, in the situation where it's now the nefesh elikis, i.e. in my body in a golus, and in a deep golus, gamata kainu, klolus umiyuchedus b'yizbarach, it is still united, but it's in golus. So when I will put all my oomph, all my being into Torah mitzvahs, that all my 10 faculties will be invested in the study of Torah and doing mitzvahs, and especially that I will invest myself in the mitzvah of prayer, which consists of shouting to God, that I am in such pain, I have tsar. It's narrow. It's constrained. There's constraints that it's in this golus in my goof, hamashukitz, which is disgusting. So I seek I seek to take it out of its constrictions, and to reattach it to Hashem. So it's the Alter Rebbe says, stop. The Alter Rebbe is saying like this here. This is a 180-degree change in the way you think, right? Another person thinks like this. Look, I have a neshama. Yeah, very good. When I do an aveda, when I act like a nefesh abamis, and I'm basically controlled by my nefesh abamis, my nefesh elikis is in deep trouble. And therefore, the more I sin and the more I act like a behemoth, the worse it is. Says the Alter Rebbe, but that's true. But there's a way of turning it around. Focus on the fact, see, usually when we do an Aveda, and when we do something that's animal-like, we're not thinking at the time about the godly soul. We're acting like an animal. And the more we act like an animal, the more negative we get. We're more animalistic. So if you stop and think for a moment, you say, oh yeah, I'm so disgusting. I am such a disgusting thing, right? But the Alter Rebbe says, while you're so disgusting, and while you're thinking that, at the same time, think about, hey, I have something in me that's very special. It's called an neshama. And when I act like a behemoth, it's like taking your father, your mother, your Rebbe, your wife, whatever, and you're schlepping them into your filth. That's disgusting, and that's a great you should have mercy. Have mercy. You want to be a behemoth? You could be a behemoth, but what you're doing to them is not only disgusting, it's a pity. What did they do that they deserve to be in your schmutz? That's what the Alter Rebbe says here. And when you will think about that simultaneously to knowing how you're acting, that's like a behemoth, you will have mercy on your neshama. And that's going to ultimately get you to stop being a behemoth. Because b'meila, you're an animal and you're doing sin and all that. That's our trip. But to go and take someone else who is pure and great and beautiful and schlep them in, that's outrageous. That's like mean. That's an achzer. You're an achzer. You're cruel. Says the Alter Rebbe, and therefore you will have rachmanis. And you'll start, oh, wait a second. You mean to say I have this pristine diamond inside of me that's looking to be holy, and all I have to do is release it. Why wouldn't you release it? Why would you want, what are you, so mean? In other words, like this, a person who's acting like a behemoth and all that, and doing sin and all that, it doesn't mean that they're cruel. It means that they have a desire, they have a lust, they have a temptation. Doesn't mean they're bad people, right? The Alter Rebbe says that in a way you are a bad person, because what you're doing is you're not allowing the nefesh elikis that's with you, that you've schlepped into the sin, you're not allowing it to be released. And that's a great rachmanis, and you will have rachmanis. In other words, if you're going to say, Hillel, that the person is a mean, a cruel person who seeks to hurt himself and seeks to hurt others, right? The Ponzi scheme individual knows clearly what he's doing and knows that he's messing up other people. That is cruel, not just for himself, but he's cruel to others. But a person who's not that way, and I think most people are not that way, when they realize that not only are they doing damage to themselves, but they're doing damage to someone else, they won't want to do that. They'll say, no, I have, if that's going to involve someone else, I don't want that. I'm going to change. That's what Alter Rebbe says here. There's a someone else within ourselves. It's called the nefesh elikis. Remember, we're talking about, remember that what we learned in chapter 29, the outer being of the Jew, when they act like a behemoth. So the behemoth is, right, so you're basically animalistic, right? You're acting animalistic. But yet you have a neshama inside you. So this neshama within you, let it go. Let it rise to its potential. Why wouldn't you want something that you have that you know that can become a star to be a star? I think I told you the other day that the greatest pride that we're, us parents, grandparents, is for our children and grandchildren to outdo us. Right? Imagine someone, a father, a mother, who says, no, I'm going to keep my kid under the radar. Why? So that he never outdoes me. That's mean. That's evil. A normal parent says, on the contrary, outdo me. I'll be the happiest father, the happiest mother, that you're a bigger servant of Hashem and you have a bigger heart, and and I've seen this. I have seen it. And a smart parent should be jumping for joy if he has a kid or a grandkid who puts them to shame. The Alter Rebbe is saying, I'm just using, contemporary psychological words. I think he's really saying the same idea, Moshe. He's saying the same idea. We have a neshama in ourselves. We enjoy, sin. We enjoy taiva, right? Alter Rebbe says, I understand you enjoy, but why do you want to make your son, your neshama, do the same thing? If this neshama is elsewhere, wants to be elsewhere, it's in you, but it really wants to be elsewhere, and it can be elsewhere, and it can shine, and can outdo you. You're so mean? No, you're not so mean, so have mercy on it. That's that's the meditation of this chapter 31, which is a very different type of meditation, and a very, very powerful meditation. And this we haven't, and by the way, this is new. We haven't yet encountered Avram, this meditation in Tanya until this section of chapter 31. Let's continue. Now, the Alter Rebbe says, "V'zuhi b'chinas tshuva u'maisim toivim." Okay. You know, we say in Pirkei Avos, there's tshuva and maisim toivim. The Alter Rebbe here explains, guess what? That all maisim toivim are tshuva. It's not two separate things, but all good acts, maisim tovim, are really tshuva. Look how he says, how he explains it. Shei maisim tovim, these are good deeds, that a person does in order to return chelik Hashem, the part of God which is within the person, to its source, the cholam of all worlds. So notice the Alter Rebbe is saying it's not two different things. When you do maisim tovim, what are you doing? You're returning your neshama to its original state, which is being one with God through the maisim tovim. So it's not that tshuva is one thing. A second thing is maisim tovim. The Alter Rebbe says no. The maisim tovim itself is the process of tshuva. And this should be a person's avodah all his life. B'simcha rabba. You hear what the Alter Rebbe says here? That when you have this meditation, and in middle of my sin behavior, I say, you know what? I'm going to allow my nefesh elikis to get out of the situation, and I'm going to help it ascend and be what it's about. This brings you the greatest simcha. In other words, the simcha rabba, and by the way, look at the way, he doesn't just say simcha. He says simcha rabba. Why is it simcha rabba, an abundant simcha? Because ordinary simcha is from doing the right thing. Here you're doing the wrong thing. You're in the middle of doing the wrong thing. And within the middle of doing the wrong thing, you realize it's such a great rachmanis on your neshama that's going along, that you're schlepping along for the ride, and therefore you're willing to release it and relinquish it and let it be itself and rise to be the star. Oh, that's a great simcha. If I can in the middle of my shtuyot allow that part of me that's really pristine and pure to be its best, and because I have rachmanis, I can't do this. I can't. It's wrong to take my father and my mother and my rebbe and my wife and my rabbi into my shtuyot and say, please, I'll do my craziness myself, but you go to the right place. At the end of the day, when you think about that, it brings you simcha rabba, that you were able to release the nefesh elikis, it's your neshama, out of the shtus while you were doing the shtus. It's not easy, because in a way, it's like at the time of sin and taiva and gaiva and all the different types of lusts and yetzer haras, at the same time, I'm recognizing I have something pristine and holy, and I'm letting it out. But when you do that, and you recognize that, you have simcha rabba. That's what he says. And look at the Alter Rebbe's wording. V'zois ti avadose kol yamav. This ain't happening in one day, in 1 month, in 1 year. Kol yamav, all your life. This is going to be avodah, your avodah. And when you go through life working on this, it'll bring the simcha rabba. Simchas, what's the simcha rabba? It consists of the simchas hanefesh b'tseisa me'aguf, the simcha of the soul exiting the guf while you're alive. Hametuev, which is disgusting, the guf that's disgusting, and you're allowing your nefesh to be released from that bondage. V'shavel beisav bia kenurel, and it returns to its father's home, as it was in its youth, which is a metaphor to b'shas ha'torah v'avodah. You allow it to learn and to do avodas Hashem. U'kamayim Razal liyos kol yomav b'tshuva. The Chazal say a person should always be kol yomav. All of his days should be b'tshuva. There's nothing greater than exiting the exile and the bondage of captivity. And he brings the Moshul, Kemoshul ben HaMelech, a son of a king, Shehoya b'shivya, who was in captivity, v'toichein bebeis hasurim, and he was captured. We're on top now, page 89, in a jail, bebeis hasurim, umanuvel ba'ashba. It wasn't a jail, I don't know, one of these fancy jails in Colorado, that maximum security jail, which is like a hotel. Okay? It was, let's say, Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay was this disgusting place. So this son of the king is in a beis hasurim umanuvel ba'ashba. He's a manuval. He's disgusting from filth and junk, garbage all around him in the jail. Now, the Rebbe explained once that the Alter Rebbe uses these adjectives. In other words, why wouldn't it be adequate, is it to say he's in jail, finished? Why wouldn't it say that he's in jail? Why not? Because he wants to bring out all these details. He wants to bring out that the Golus is so deep and so he's gone so far that not only is in jail, but he's in a jail that stinks, in a jail that has garbage. In other words, this jail is a Guantanamo Bay jail, not the Colorado Max jail, which is a country club. Let's go further. And from there, he's set free to his father's house. Hamelech, the king. That's the end of the mashal. What's the nimshal? We have here this goof that's disgusting, ugly, smelly, garbage. It's a behemoth. Mute yourself, please, for 1 second. Mute yourself. And within this disgusting situation, the king's son is released. The neshama. So the king's son is the metaphor for the neshama. We have to know the neshama is in a place of filth and schmutz when we act like a behemoth, when we act with a goof, a nefesh habamis, a yetzer hara. And from there it's released. What a simcha. In other words, being released from a rosy place, the simcha is not that great. But when you're in a dungeon, and when it's smelly, and it's really bad, and you're released from there, your simcha is so much greater. And this is true in life. A person who's able to come out of a real bad situation, their simcha is so much greater. Yeah? Someone who was addicted, let's say, to drinking, whatever, and they're able to overcome, they have such strength. And when they think about it, really, they have such simcha that they had this challenge for years and they couldn't overcome, and finally they overcame. It's the greatest simcha. I just say, I remember with my sleeping and and I didn't know for years. I was falling asleep and drooling, and finally someone said, "Go check yourself out for sleep apnea." And I realized, and then I put on the machine. The next morning, I promise you, Chevra, I experienced a miniature Tchias HaMesim. We talk about the resurrection of the dead. That next morning, when I got up, and I had no drooling, and I had no headaches, and I wasn't falling asleep at the computer and in the car, and it's been this way 10, 15 years, Baruch Hashem, it's mamish simcha rabba. In other words, when you experience something that is so bad, whatever it is, this is a health issue, right? And then you come out of it, it's like, I'll talk about the sleep machine to any CEO and the president and the greatest rabbi, because I went through it. So the Alter Rebbe is speaking here about the same thing with the neshama. The neshama is so special and so beautiful and so pristine and so holy and so gewaldig. And yet, for years, it's stuck in this filth and this narishkeit. And then you say, how mean can I be? How, but Mela, myself, I want to be like a behemoth and behave that way. Okay, it's not good, but it's your own trip. But you're schlepping someone else into your shtus, to your shtuyot. That's disgusting. That's what the Alter Rebbe says here. Yes, Hillel. You have to unmute yourself, Hillel. Sorry.
It seems to me that one of the things he's emphasizing with this mashal is that it's not even if we're doing averas. It's just the situation that the neshama has to live in a body, and the body has all these needs and preoccupations. So even if a person's holding like a Beinoni and not active in the pursuit of averas it's still hard on the neshama to live in a body like this. That's what it seems to me that he's emphasizing here.
I don't agree that he's emphasizing there. I would say it maybe includes that, but he's definitely talking about the situation where the person's actively misuev and meshukitz. Misuev and ashpa. Misuev, the language and he's employing misuev, meshukitz, ashpa. All of these, that's filth and schmutz. You're talking about the potential for taiva. So you could say that it includes it, but no, I disagree. Maybe when you have a chance later, look into the shiurim, Sefer Tanya, the Chassidus Moveres, how they interpret that. I think you'll find that they're talking really more about the active role in Yetzer Hara and Nefesh Habamis.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Anyway, yes, Moshe.
I just want to remind, we're waiting for the example about how to sweeten the dinim from yesterday. Remember, I raised that issue, how to use the klipa to help solve the issue. I'm just putting it out there. You said we might have to bring about it, but I'm just bringing it up.
Okay, let me maybe later in the day when I have some menuchas hanefesh, more menuchas hanefesh, think about it. It's a good thing, and believe that tomorrow. Everyone have a great day. We'll see everyone tomorrow. Sei gesund. Bye bye. Bye bye.